Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Cowan-Smith. Tonight, Thursday, marks exactly 2 years since almost 300 schoolgirls were abducted by Boko Haram militants from the town of Chibok. Those they've left behind and campaigners who refuse to let their plight be forgotten march in their memory. Also, the first proof-of-life video of some of the girls since 2014 is shown to a handful of distraught parents. It adds pressure on Nigerian negotiators still trying to secure the captives' release, but for Chibok families, it's a bittersweet glimpse of familiar faces. The atmosphere is edgy in Juba ahead of the return of the rebel leader on the other side of 2 years of bloody civil war. Some of Riek Machar's fighters have set up camp around the South Sudanese capital, but accuse the army of President Salva Kiir of having boosted its numbers. Well, exactly 2 years on since Nigerian extremist group Boko Haram kidnapped 276 schoolgirls from their college in Chibok, 215 of the children are still missing. On Thursday, hundreds of people marched in cities across Nigeria demanding their safe return. The abduction became emblematic of the militants' ruthlessness and turned an international spotlight on the Nigerian government's shortcomings in tackling the insurgency. Despite a regional operation against Boko Haram having had some success, the failure to find the girls remains a source of heartache for many Nigerians, and Chibok's community is angry about its stolen members and that its only school remains in ruins.
This is all that remains of the government girls' secondary school in Chibok. It's a place that once echoed to the sound of learning. Its classrooms now turn to rubble. Desks and the twisted metal bed frames left to rust in the searing heat. 2 years on from the abduction of 276 girls, the school grounds are now nothing but scrubland. 219 of the girls are still being held by Boko Haram.
All we need is for our children, our people to continue to further their educations. But for now, 2 years, no school, no learning in Chibok.
The previous government, under President Goodluck Jonathan, promised to rebuild the school, but breeze blocks remain piled high with no sign of construction. Locals are frustrated and angry.
We have been begging government to open even a secondary school, government secondary school for boys. Up to now, nothing. Only this female school. And the female school now, where is it? And really, Boko Haram has achieved their aim by saying that they don't want the Western education.
The threat from Boko Haram attacks still remains very real. In January, 3 suicide bombers killed 13 people in Chibok. Now worshippers at the mosque are screened outside for explosives. In the town, life goes on as best it can, but there is despair that improvements are not materializing.
You know, we are redundant. We are abandoned by the government, in fact. We are very sorry to mention, because since this thing happens, we have a lot of children they're living at home without doing anything. And we are poor enough, no road, no market, no water supply, no electricity.
Since their daughters went missing, 18 parents have either died or been killed by Boko Haram. Statistics in a conflict that has killed 20,000 since 2009. Some of the remaining parents have moved to nearby Balala. One father continues to dream of the day he sees his kidnapped daughter return home.
When I see my daughter coming back to me, I will feel such joy in my heart. All the sickness and other things will disappear, and I will be very happy in my life.
For now, though, all he can do is hope, wait, and pray.
Well, a handful of distraught parents have this week been shown a proof-of-life video of 15 of the abducted girls. Dated Christmas Day 2015, it's the first sign of them since May 2014. The footage was reportedly sent to Nigerian negotiators trying to secure the hostages' release and adds pressure on President Muhammadu Buhari's government to deliver on his election promise to crush Boko Haram and return the children. The Bring Back Our Girls movement that's worked on keeping the issue in the public eye has accused authorities of mishandling the case. Meanwhile, the families of the lost have taken what little comfort they can from this rare glimpse of their loved ones.
I saw girls, and through their Chibok girls, I recognize some of them because we are in the same area with them. So I recognize them. They are the Chibok girls.
They take that video 2 months after adoption, we don't know. Maybe a year after the adoption, we don't know. But actually that video, even though we are still to authenticate, it brings another hope to people that if that is the case, this girl is truly still alive.
Well, we're joined now by Obiageli Ezekwesili, a former education minister and a founding member of Bring Back Our Girls. Obiageli, thanks very much for speaking to us. Now, what is your take on efforts under President Buhari to get the girls back? Has enough been done? Surely the state has had to proceed cautiously.
Well, we don't think that much has been done simply because we haven't seen evidence of that action, and we also haven't seen the results coming out of the action. That is not to say that nothing has been done, but the truth is we want results. It's been too long a time for young women to be in terrorist captivity.
So what kind of impact has the video of the Chibok captives had on their families?
It has been very emotional for them, but on the one hand, it gives them some foreboding feeling whether that video is going to lead to some tangible action on the part of our government. On the other hand, it has created a source of hope for them, a sense that finally they can actually see some of their daughters again after so many months. Today, 2 years that they last saw them and had any sense of the possibility that they were alive. For those of us in advocacy, we always said to people who wondered why we were carrying on still after so many months and not giving up, that on the basis that the girls may already have died or been married off and all of that. And what we said to them often was there is no evidence to the contrary that the girls, our girls, are alive. And with this video, there is a glimmer. Cautiously, we are hopeful for the tiny glimmer of hope that it actually represents. And we now call on our government to do everything necessary to authenticate what the video reveals, and then to have a plan of action for resolving the matter of this girl's tragic abduction from the classroom.
Thank you very much, Obiageli Ezekwesili, a founding member of Bring Back Our Girls, speaking to us from Abuja. Well, Boko Haram has often also used kidnapping as a weapon, and along with the thousands of women and girls who have been taken, men and boys have also been conscripted by the extremists, forced to fight in their ranks. Some of the female captives have been used as sex slaves and increasingly as suicide bombers. The exploitation often causes problems for those who manage to get away and hope to return to their old communities. For more on this, I'm joined by Marco Simonetti from International Alert. Marco, is enough being done to look at the wider issues associated with communities from which people have been kidnapped? Is enough support being offered to those being left behind?
Thank you for having me. We realized one of the first research pieces on in reintegration of these girls, not necessarily just the Chibok girls. There are over 2,000 girls estimated being still held in captivity in Borno, and little has been done. Well, what our research reveals that there is a lot of hostility and stigma towards these girls once they come back. And very little is being done to prepare communities, to work with communities and families to to deal with this stigma. Of course, the fear is that girls were radicalized while in captivity, and they may. The worry is that the communities that they may pose a threat themselves to security, and very little is being done at the moment to look at the issue more in depth and prepare. So there are a number of girls that have returned, and it is evidence that they have been marginalized, ostracized, and stigmatized by the communities.
Well, the focus currently is on the return of the girls, but you're also concerned about what will happen when boys who are taken and perhaps forced to fight start coming back. What can be done to anticipate their reintegration?
Yes, exactly. So the question of Boko Haram in general is a terrorist group, but they apply the same or very similar methods to girls and boys. Girls were used as sex slaves or other form of slavery, and boys, of course, co-opted to fight. There is a perception, of course, that girls are more likely to be victims, and there is a perception that boys are more likely to have decided to have joined. And very little, near to nothing is being done at the moment. Discipline, international legislation, international law, and so peace building, post-conflict recovery is is new to this issue. They're used to deal with combatants, but when it's people, fighters from terrorist groups, it's a lot more difficult to envisage reintegration. And of course, this needs to be done because it's going to be a lost generation. And so preparation needs to happen to take place for that.
Thank you very much. Marco Simonetti there from International Alert, speaking to us about some of the issues associated with the destabilizing effect on communities when captured boys or girls are returned to the homes from which they were taken. Well, that is it on our Nigeria Chibok special on the anniversary of the 2 years since 279 schoolgirls were taken from their community in northeastern Nigeria. Thanks very much for joining us, and please do so again if you can. Take care.